Well, it's all set for racing on a Sunday as of 12:30. We're in the capital, Pietermaritzburg, KZN, and it's a Scottsville Racing getting underway with the maiden juvenile plate over the 1,000 meters, and that will be the first of 8. Now, as far as race number 1 is concerned, we've got a raider from Joburg who takes in some form, which has since been enhanced after Thursday's meeting at the Val. It is a warm welcome both to our studio analyst, that is Daryl Marie, and our virtual analyst coming through from Cape Town, none other than Darren Burrows. Good morning to both of you gentlemen, and it's crossing over to Mr. Burrows for his initial thoughts to race number 1.
Good morning, Cecil. Race 1 now. Baron Burtis run a quid pro quo. You got to be impressed with that debut. This filly absolutely flew. Another stride, she was a length ahead. That's how much she was flying. And there has been winner from that form line, if I'm not mistaken, just the other day. 54.5 kilos. I'm only concerned about the 1,000 maybe being a bit sharp. And you've got horses like Fine One that gets on his bicycle early. On a line of form, Fine One and Ibechle, there's only 3 parts of a length separating them, but then Fine One came on from that run and won very comfortably. So 4, 7, and 8, that's enough to survive the bipot and probably double up.
So that is a 4, 7, and 8, and of course that is a form line that was franked on Thursday, quid pro quo, the Lance that is now relocated. Baron did say that he was relocating to KZN, and I do believe now he's fully in constant. This will be his first batch just sending out. I haven't followed in the last week or so, but as far as the bipod is concerned, you are a bipod man. Good morning to you as well.
Morning to you. Thank you. Hope you're well.
I'm very, very good, and looking forward to a continuation of good racing on Sunday after Saturday's feature-laden card. Well, 2 the fillies and the guineas themselves at Turventine.
Yeah, I look forward to this card, Cecil. I've gone the 3 runners that Darren's touched on, numbers 4, 7, and 8. We saw a winner from Quid Pro Quo's race at the Val on Thursday. That was Force 8. Now, she actually beat Force 8 by, I think, 4 lengths.
Yes.
4 lengths. And Force 8 came out to win by 5 lengths on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I think the stiff 1,000, that last little uphill, the incline, will make it a bit more testing, and that's when she'll be getting going. So obviously she's gone in, and then 7 and 8, they've met in the past, very little separating the 2 of them on paper. And going into that race, Louis Goosen made it very clear that Ibechle, is it Ibechle?
Ibele.
Ibele.
Yeah.
Was fancied to run a forward race on debut, so he certainly didn't surprise the connection. So 4, 7, and 8.
And of course, the ownership of Ibele are spreading their wings. They've got a couple of runners up here on the Highfield yet to win, but I'm sure we will see a lot more of those colours as the carriers bulge on. Right, let's have a look at the bipod selection. That is starting with the race 1 at 12:30. There is no doubt that Quid Pro Quo will be a popular selection indeed. And it is worth just talking about that poor measured winner in the first race. It goes without saying he had a lot of runners carded, and 80 to 75% of them were scratched, obviously high temperatures, and for that horse to put up such a performance when things are not totally well, I think you can only look forward to good things coming through from his winner in that particular race. That is the bipod, race number 1. All right, let's look ahead to race number 2, a Gallop TV YouTube channel maiden plate. It's over the 1,200 meters, and at this juncture, not too many changes are coming in the way of scratchings, etc. I can tell you that the 5 Heavens Will, who could possibly be your favorite in those famous colors of Mr. HCN and Acosta in partnership with trainer Dennis Bosch, will have no blinkers. Right, so that is race number 2, a field of 10 going over the 1,200 meters. And starting with you, Mr. Maria, you have a PA for us that we will eventually show, but your thoughts on race 2?
Very interesting comments in the front of the computer form, Cecil. Now, Mr. Puller says the anti-post favorite, which is Apex Warrior, who's currently priced up at, or Predator, is currently priced up at 13 to 10, will need a run. Those are his words in the front of the book. And with regards to the first timer, Tini Prinsloo says number 10, Downtown Dubai, will need the experience. For that reason, I think 22 to 10 About Heaven's Will is a great price, because currently third priced favorite or third favorite in the anti-post market is Fatom Fluffy, who I don't rate at all. I think she's needs to improve. Her later start was very, very moderate and disappointing. So Heaven's Will has improved on the turf, showed a lot of pace in his last two starts and probably overdoing it. And maybe Calvin Habib came back to Mr. Bosch and said, you know what, take the blinkers off this horse, let him relax, and he'll finish his races off. So at 22 to 10, I suggest a nice strike on number 5, Heaven's Will.
Okay, so Heaven's Will race with no blinkers on, and that's the only change that we see right now. Mr. Burrows, are you in concurrence as far as the well-being of the 6 Apex Predator is concerned? The stable seemed to be in a good heart. They had that good winner in the form of Lodawato. The Neil Andrews syndicate owned 3 wins from as many starts on the poly track. Do you think we could possibly defy that rest that he's talking about?
Well, Cecil, I'm not a big fan of trainer comments. I mean, they can obviously tell you the well-being of their horse. Maybe it's in need of a run. But even if Apex Predator's in need of a run, this field is very shallow. There's not much horses with form, and you got to take him seriously. I mean, obviously he's in need of the run, rested since September, but he was probably in need of his first outing as well at a big price, and he flashed up on them, drawn 15 out of 15 up the straight. So you got to take Apex Predator very seriously. And then Heaven's Will, the form lines aren't great, but I'd like that they remove the blinkers. I think he does it a bit too hard in front, and he can settle better. So I'm not looking past 6 and 5.
6 and 5, that is race number 2, the first leg of the PA. And you have to have those PAs on by 1:05. That is a maiden plate over the 1,200 meters. Open a tab gold account 0313141874 is the maiden plate for Fillies and Mares over the mile. So we step up in a trip. And again, at this early stage, we have an evens favorite. It is from the Gareth Van Sale stable with stable jockey Atadu Mgodlu aboard, and that is Vihan's Queen. In those familiar souls of Miss Tanisha Pillay, who is part of the ownership of a decent horse here on the Highveld, Beating Wings, in partnership with Mr. Dylan Chinsami, amongst others. Vihan's Queen, that is looking for that one step further type performance, 2 seconds in a row after a third and debut. The profile seems to suggest that this could be a banker, Mr. Marie, in the pick 6. Would you go that far?
I would.
Yes.
I'd certainly bank. I've got the anti-post market of here, Cecil. She's priced up at evens.
Evens, that's right.
And then 15 to 4, just under 4 to 1, Blue Horizon. I personally think he's going to go close, or she's going to start closer to 8 to 1 race time.
And Havre de Grace, the 5?
That's probably the favourite's biggest danger. She's at 5 to 1, Cecil, but I don't think she's got a chance of reversing the form with the favourite. Didn't finish too far behind her, but just have a look at the switching draws. Vihan's Queen now comes into Storgate number 1 from the worst draw last time out. She's now ready to win from a great draw. The form line's been franked. We've seen the 3rd and the 4th placed runners come out and win in their next start. We've seen Pinstripe very unlucky in her post-maiden effort, in her handicap debut, just getting touched off. I think evens is actually quite generous.
Okay, so that is Vihan's Queen. Are you in a concurrence, Mr. Burrows, as far as Vihan's Queen is concerned? And perhaps the 5, Havre de Grace, could be the main danger as opposed to the 7, Blue Horizon?
Definitely. The 2 horses for me, you can take the exactors. You can even box 1 and 5. I do believe you'll catch it. Vihan's Queen done absolutely nothing wrong. I like that second behind Celtic Beauty. That second behind Pinstripe was a good effort. Pinstripe's come out to frank the form by running a short head second in open company. And Havre de Gras, also a bit very far off the pace early and made steady progress throughout, suggesting the mile's going to suit her. So I would go the safe route 1 and 5, but I do narrowly favour the 1.
Okay, that is Vian's Queen from the 5 Havre de Gras in race number 3. That pick 6 pool closes at 20-2, and it does look competitive as we progress through the card itself. We're into another maiden plate when we come back to discuss race 4. The maiden plate makes up the fourth on the card at Scottsville, Pietermaritzburg. It is over the 1600 once again, and the market right now has the Mary Liney colours on the 5 Send Me, who's actually been shortened in overnight. I looked at 15-10 from 16 to 10, and the confidence seems to be burgeoning. It is, or growing rather. It is now at 14-10. Send Me, give me the green light out of an Ideal World Mare Zante. Bred by the Lammerskoll stud, will be bidding for that maiden win at the third time of asking, a fourth and then a third, and that is both in a maiden company. Mr. Marie, Send Me, how do we see the performance there? Close up is Rocco of Mantova rather, but I have washed my hands of Rocco of Mantova. Weaker centre, yes, but Gavin's loyalty to it is what keeps me looking at Rocco of Mantova.
I'm done with Rock.
Yeah,
I'm
but
done
then
with
Gavin
Rock.
seems to stick with horse.
Even with the equipment change, he's carded to wear blinkers now.
Yes.
So the blinkers go on, but I'm done with him, Cecil. Sorry to say that. Listen, I'd love for him to prove me wrong and win a few races for his owners, but
Yes.
him and I are parting ways.
Yes.
I think this is another victory for Richard Free, closer to that elusive mark that he's chasing. Send Me number 5, 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters, 9 to a mile. His half brother, Cecil, won over 2,200 meters. I know his form lines aren't great, but he's been contesting races far too short for his liking. So now he's got the experience of having 2 runs and he's getting the trip. I think he'll take a power beating. Like I touched on, I'm done with Rocco Bismantova. I think number 8 possibly has his issues. I'm speaking out of turn over here, but if you have a look, going into his his latest start, he was rested and he ran a cracker. Now he's been off the track for another 3 months. He's rested again. So I think he may have his issues, and I don't think he's going to be returning to this race fully tuned up. And the balance of the field are battlers. They're moderate sorts. Send Me, I think, will trot up.
Now, looking at that last run on your second choice at Tabata Burke in those colours that we discussed earlier on, those of the Chetty family, have been a few form life winners out of that form line. So perhaps that could be just the swinger for us. But Mr. Burrows, we are victims of Rock of Bismantova. We have gone for Rock of Bismantova on many, many occasions. But as I say, the fact that Gavin, this will be his 6th successive ride on a Rock of Bismantova, and he travels to KZN to ride, perhaps we should get the impression it shows more than it produces at track.
Well, Cecil, I've never been for him before, but I do like him today for the first time. I think he's a big runner. You know that Joburg form, Highveld form, we often see them come to KZN and not dominate, but they do very well with their maidens. And I think his form is good enough to go very close. Now, Send Me, I liked him last time out. He came under pressure and then he stayed on very late on, suggesting the mile's going to suit. I'm just very concerned about those form lines, and we don't know if he's got ability or not on that. So I would include 3 and 5, and then definitely number 8, Tibbet Burke. That form line behind Bristol Hercules is decent. That form line behind Attaboy, we've seen multiple winners. And after a break, they're stepping him up to this trip. So obviously maybe he's not in need of the run, and he could run well.
Okay, so Rock of Bismantova will be given that benefit of the doubt by Mr. Darren Burrows with the 5 Send Me and the 8 Book being possible backups. But that is the first leg of the first jackpot, and it is a maiden plate over the 1600. The off time to that 4th of our 8 races is 2:15. All right, so we have a Fillies and Mares 75 handicap as race number 5 at Scottsville this coming Sunday. That'll be the first leg of the second jackpot. Byron Bort is now relocated to the KZN region. He sends out a Ballroom Bliss, who's done well for the stable. It's 5 wins now from 47 outings, and a man who's ridden it on 10 occasions in recent times for a couple of wins, as well as 5 placings. There's Gavin Arenos in town, and will be reunited with Ballroom Bliss. The one Miss Gibson, though, is the favorite, whilst Ballroom Bliss is at 4-1. Which would be your pick there, Mr. Burrows, if you were to be put in a corner as far as a win bet?
A win bet, either 4 or 7. You can play a Dutch bet, have 50 on the 4, 50 on the 7, and maybe the swingers. Now, Ballroom Bliss, third behind Lady Fallon. The second place runner, Frank the Form, and Lady Fallon's decent herself. She could run well even with 62 kilos. Now, Lily Bell, that was a good return to form last time out, and she could have another win in the tank. Bosnay and Miss Gibson of the rest.
Okay, so that would be the suggestions for race number 5, 4 and 7 being at the top of that list. Mr. Marie, Ballroom Bliss, now that merit rating is at 79, beginning to drop once again, had peaked when they were going through a very good patch, the Byron Bort stable, and is now slowly coming down again. Does that form part of your jackpot?
She does. She's getting on with it, but she's very consistent. She's never far off. She's the class in the race, and she's capable, but you can't be overly bullish with regards to her chances. I mean, you should get a bold running if you are on her, Cecil. I'm keen to know what the jockey arrangements were with regards to numbers 1 and 2. I know Nicholas Patel is getting quite a few chances from Louis Huisson lately, and he usually rides Miss Gibson, and now he's on Oh So Squishy, so maybe he's just staying loyal to Louis Huisson's yard. But in saying that, Oh So Squishy, have a look at her rating. Her last run on a turf surface was when she gave a filly called Rocky Reef 5 kilograms off an 83, and now she's off a 68. So on her best form, I'm saying in this sort of lineup, she could certainly spring a surprise. Miss Gibson is another consistent filly or mare. You should get a decent run for your money. Lady Canton, probably in need of a later start. She comes back in distance, and if she settles in running, she is another one that has to be included. But yeah, I'm not confident. I went all of numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5. But the race certainly doesn't stop there.
Lily Bell, not part of your first leg?
I liked her last time. She should have finished it slightly closer. It's quite soon thereafter. I don't know. Got a chance.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to twist your arm there, but 1, 2, 4, and 5 would be for that short list as far as leg 1 of the jackpot, courtesy of Daryl Marie. So that is race number 5. We're getting rapidly into the last 3 with the race number 6. This is a merit rated 80. That's going to be over the 1400 meters, coming up in a few moments. It is race number 6, the third last. It is the last chance to get involved in a pick 3 at Hollywood Bets Scottsville. And just touching on that, of course, they started a trend of utilizing sports personalities to name their horses. And one of the early ones was a certain Shampompo Shampizi. Speak under correction, but that was the first, and that was inspired by the larger-than-life, but unfortunately sadly departed Count Tunja, when the South Africa scored their first ever try in a World Cup final, and those famous commentaries, Shampompo Shampizi, were utilized to name what is a useful sort of 1-3 from 23 outings. But we're not here to talk rugby, we're here to talk racing. And Mr. Burrows, race number 6, do you have something that we can possibly get out of it with as far as race 6 is concerned?
Well, I've included 4 runners, Cecil, number 1, 2, 3, and 5. Now let's touch on them in order. Now, Shampompo Shampizi, he's starting to drop in the ratings, plus he's got 2.5 kilos off his back and a 1 draw. So the 1400 probably ideal. He drops in class from a 98 handicap. he's got to be a serious runner. Now, Harley Street, he had a year off the track, and his comeback run in a sprint was a cracker. He absolutely took off to run 2 lengths back behind Super Fast, and now he steps up in trip. My only concern, second run, it's a true second run after a rest. Ultra Quick, he's got ability. I think he'll do well. He's got 2 lengths to find on Master Josh, but he is better off at the weights. And then Master Josh himself, consistent form, should be right there.
So a very strong hand for trainer Alison Wright. She saddles all of three runners from your 4 horses are selected. So in those old days when we had couplings, that would have been a possible banker as far as pick sixes are concerned. I think jackpots we used to also have couplings. I think that was the greatest innovation ever to come about, to do away with couplings. I mean, PE, you'd have to just put Smith Riff, and nothing else. But race number 6. So how are you going about negotiating race 6?
Yeah. Cecil, if in my opinion, if you did away with fractional betting, I think the pools would be substantially larger.
Would be larger?
I think so.
Okay.
It'd be so much tougher to get a pick 6, and
but I mean, it's tougher right now with fractional. I mean,
yeah, but when you do one, then you do get one right. It's life changing. Anyway, Cecil, I find this race very, very hard. A horse like Ultra Quick, they're obviously trying to settle him because he can overrace and overdo it in his races. And his last 2 starts, they try to tuck him in. This is a type of horse, if he's allowed to stride, he could certainly win an event like this. Kimball O'Hara, some of his Cape Town form, he's certainly a live wire. Some equipment changes with regards to him. Could certainly see him feature. Master Josh, horse and distance suited. Yeah, I made this very hard. I'm not going to sit here and try narrow my colours to the mast, but I think it's a field event.
So now what are we doing here? We're going with a win bet from Mr. Burrows here.
This was a pick 3.
Pick 3, all right, and so he's got 1, 2, 3, and 5. We know the first leg. We're just going to confirm the remaining 2 legs of that pick 3. That is races 7 and 8. So that is the pick 3, and Alison Wright is certainly with a very strong hand indeed. That is race 6 off at 3. Our top runner on the afternoon is race number 7, a Marula Sprint. It's a non-black type. It's over the 1,200 meters, and it has attracted a very, very good field indeed, including the likes of the evergreen number 8, Ultra Magnus, in the colors of Mr. Brian Makwabarara, who's nominee for the Black Diamond Thoroughbreds. Black Ultra Magnus has done very well, did have a massive run in one of the computer forms in years gone by, and then of course the big sprint at Scottsville also threatened to win, if not actually won the race. Graham Hawkins used to be part of the ownership. I don't think he is anymore, but certainly had a lot of fun. But your favorite is a Raider from Joburg, and that is number 2, William Robertson. Tell us about William Robertson. As I say, the stable has been quiet by their standards. The only horse to actually show a little bit of form was last Sunday, Wise Act, in the same colours as William Robertson.
Yeah, I love Corne Spice's stable. Yeah, yes. I mean, he's really good for the game, and it's not nice seeing trainers going through quiet times. But you never know when it's going to turn, and when it does, we can follow him with confidence. But I'm going into this race confident without the stable firing, just because of the structure of the weights of here and him being so well in. Cecil, if you have a look at the best weighted column, he's 11 pounds, which equates to 5.5 kilograms best in over here. He's over a course and distance that is probably one that he's most effective over. It's a testing 1200. I think if he travels well,
4 times, 1 or 3 times on it.
Yes, he loves it. Yeah, he obviously travels well. They're not going to be going all the way down to KZN or Scottsville with him being in need of this outing. So he's going there fitting well, and let's hope this is the start of some form for the yard.
So that is William Robertson, and that will be a clear first choice, and the market will suggest that should be at 11 to 10. Mr. Burrows, We're all pulling for Corner Spiesa to turn it around, but we saw Rafif have a good day at the Val on a Thursday. This was one of the early Rafifs to really announce itself. In fact, as I look at William Robertson, we were discussing the sibling recently, Massachusetts, and I think it ran yesterday.
Work
Who
of
was
life.
that?
Work of life.
Work of a Life, who unfortunately ran a third on Thursday. William Robertson, where do you rate William Robertson in the pecking order to this non-black type feature over the 1200, Darren, my apologies.
I think he's a banker, Cecil. You know, he's got us the cash in his last two starts at Scottsville, where he was weighted to win in both those races. And he's weighted to win once again, even with 61.5 kilos. I think he's like 9 pounds best weighted or something like that. He's drawn towards the inside. That's not a problem. He'll just track the speed, and I expect him to get the upper hand the final 200 meters. Ultra Magnus, he's an 8-year-old, but he's finding a good form of late, and he's no pushover on his day. Others are all hard knockers, but I think William Robertson, if everything goes his way, he's the horse to beat.
All right, so a confident selection from Darren, and I think at this early stage at 11 to 10, given the form and the profile, that could still be a value. And if you can find a couple of others, possibly as you progress through the afternoon, you could have a nice all to come bet. That's William Robertson, a confident selection on our penultimate race, number 7, a Marula Sprint, and that'll be off at 5 minutes to 4. It is watching Weighted to Win, proudly brought to you by our sponsors, Betway.